ये लड़का आमिर खान का बेटा है.
His crying scene in Rang De Basanti is very good. He doesn't like it at all. He was most upset. I do come from a position of extreme privilege. Simply on the fact that I am Aamir Khan's son.
We would have seen you in Lal Singh Chadha. We would have seen you in Lapata Ladies.
My parents split up, I think, when I was 8. It was probably the mature thing to do because, I mean, two good people aren't always good together. Papa and Ma heard the script of Taare Zameen Par and were like, "Ek second."
Maharaj Junaid हाजिर हो. Or should I say welcome Aamir Khan's son? Or should I say welcome Junaid Khan? आप बताइए.
Sir, thank you for having me. Whatever you prefer.
Welcome Junaid to the Vickey Lalwani show.
Thank you so much.
यार एक बात मुझे खटक रही है. डायरेक्ट वहीं से शुरू करते हैं.
जी.
ये कहा जाता है कि आपको 15 times रिजेक्शन फेस करना पड़ा.
I think that's a bit of an exaggeration.
Your dad said it.
I think that was still a bit of an exaggeration. 15 times though, I don't think it was. No, I was studying theatre in America. I came back in 2017. उसके बाद मैं plays कर रहा था बॉम्बे में. और जब भी फिल्म का काम आता था, auditions आते थे, I used to go for them. I went for a bunch of them. They didn't work out. I don't think they were 15. They must have been 7 or 8, I think. I don't know.
इनको पता ही नहीं था कि आप आमिर खान के बेटे हो?
नहीं पता था.
उसके बाद भी
नहीं, there were different things. कोई projects हुए ही नहीं. Some were didn't happen with me for budgetary reasons. There are lots of reasons for it to not work out, right?
But you know, trust me, आप कहीं भी खड़े हो.
जी.
आप प्ले में बाहर खड़े हो या थिएटर के बाहर खड़े हो, इवन ऑन इंस्टाग्राम, इवन ऑन ट्विटर, कई लोग नहीं जानते हैं कि ये लड़का आमिर खान का बेटा है.
जी, probably
नहीं, मैं एकदम दावे के साथ कह सकता हूँ.
वो अभी पापा इतने यंग लगते हैं कि आई डोंट थिंक लोगों के जहन में होता है कि इतना बड़ा बेटा हो सकता है उनका.
नहीं, पूछने का मतलब ये है कि हैव यू कॉन्शियसली ट्राइड टू से दैट ओके, आई डोंट वांट टू बी आमिर पार्ट 2?
नो, आई डोंट थिंक इट्स कॉन्शियस. आई थिंक कि no, I think it just happened in that way. I think not being on social media is probably one of the big reasons for that. You don't get that kind of visibility. I think, I don't know. It wasn't really a conscious decision. I think it just so happened. I also don't look like him very much. I think that might also be why people don't always make the connection.
You don't sound like him either.
Some people say I sound like him. Some people
little
don't
bit
think
in
so.
parts.
Kabhi, haan. But I think maybe that's one more of the reasons why people don't always make the connection.
So who do you look like in the family?
I think I could have gone more on my mother's side. मेरे मामा जो हैं, he's also 6'3" like me. Well, I'm slightly shorter than him actually. So I think I've gone that way more on my mother's side.
But
physically.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Junaid.
Ji.
You were not inclined towards acting.
No, I was not.
Yeah, because I remember this very clearly. I used to work for Mumbai Mirror.
जी.
और रात को 10:30 बजे तक हमारा डेडलाइन होता था.
जी.
और 10:25 तक हमारे पास लीड स्टोरी नहीं थी. My editor was very particular about the lead story. It has to create a splash. It has to create some noise.
जी.
And at 10:26, I got to know that you are assisting Raju in PK.
जी.
So ये कैसे हुआ? मतलब how did you gravitate towards this?
I think growing up, I think it was a little bit also घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर वाला situation where growing up, I always had other interests. I was always a very shy person, very shy child. फिर when I was 16, I went to HR college और I think वहाँ पे I got the opportunity to open up a little bit, and I actually gravitated towards more live performance, more plays, theatre. At that point, I was in college, BCom कर रहा था. So Papa was like, "Why don't you assist on this film that I am doing? Why not? What better are you doing?" So I am in college. He's like, "हाँ, वो सब ठीक है." But so I started assisting Raju sir for 2 years. I was assisting him on PK while I was still at HR. My exams देना जाता था सिर्फ. And then actually I wanted to go to theatre school. So I told mom and dad that I want to go abroad to theatre school, and then that's where. But it was always more towards stage actually. That it was stage that grabbed my initial interest.
हिरानी के सेट पे
जी.
एक लर्निंग बताइए जो आप कभी नहीं भूलेंगे.
There is so much actually, because sir, PK was if I'm not mistaken, PK was the last big film in Mumbai that was shot on 35mm film. Just how film sets are run has changed dramatically since then. There's a certain discipline when you're shooting on film that now you don't have. It's digital. You just keep the camera rolling. So I think actually I learned a lot. Raju sir is a very prep-heavy director. He edits his own films. So he's very clear about what he wants and what he does not need in that particular shot. I was his DA who was in charge of his shot breakdowns. So what he used to do was कि वो जब technical recce पे जाते थे location में, उनका जो script होता था, on the left side the scenes would be written. On the right he used to mark out कि ये scene ये shot, ये scene ये shot. And he used to mark out his shots in his edit order, how he's going to line them up to edit. And then those pages used to come to me and I would have to ferret it out and like, और वो बैक साइड पे वो लोकेशन का चार्ट बनाते थे और वो मार्क करते थे कैमरा कहाँ लगेगा, एक्टर्स कहाँ होने वाले. And that used to come to me and I used to ferret it out on Word, and on Photoshop I would sketch his theme to give to all the departments so everybody knows what we're doing. And that's actually his full film right there. And everything is written down.
How much did it help you as far as acting is concerned?
I don't think I was really looking at it from an acting point of view. I think it taught me a lot about film sets. It taught me a lot about film. Yeah, I don't think, but I wasn't really there to learn acting so much. It was more of I was 19, I was young, it was good fun, long hours of work, but it was good fun.
Theatre तो you were inclined to.
जी.
College.
जी.
But ये कहाँ पर हुआ कि यार movies करता है?
I mean, I would say that I'm an actor, so I'm happy to do both. There's no reason to only do one. So when I came back to Bombay and started working, जब भी मुझे film के भी auditions आते थे, I would go for them, film, series. So I don't think I wanted to pick so much between the two. Also, stage doesn't really pay.
But you know, if you think about your entry
जी.
and your debut film, it's a sort of a late entry, if I can say. Whereas, you know, you find most of the star kids and maybe others also getting into it at 20, 24, 26.
I think that's just how things turned out. I finished theatre school and I was back when I was 24. This was about 7 years ago. I did a bunch of plays. I did a bunch of tests for movies. Actually, Maharaj, we started work on in 2020 when I was 27. But then lockdown happened. फिर 1.5 साल बाद we started shooting it. फिर film बन गई, but the release took some time. I think between finishing shooting it and between release was about 3 years. So I think it's just how how things turned out. I don't think it was really a conscious decision to come late. See, beyond a point, sir, I think जो भी होता है अच्छे के लिए होता है. I think the film turned out well. I remember I met Adi sir and Sid sir in February 2020 when he offered me the film. We started readings for Maharaj around the 15th of Feb 2020, and 1 month later was lockdown and lots of people didn't have work. But Yashraj was still, lots of projects got shelved. But Yashraj at that point was like, look, we will make this film. Whenever we can, we will make this film. Whether it's 6 months, whether it's 1 year, whether it's 2 years, as soon as we can start shooting, we are making this. And that is the confidence they showed in the project right from the beginning. They weren't like, oh no, but we will see. It was none of that. It was like, you all keep working, because as soon as we can, we will make this. Lots of people don't get that. I mean, lots of film people don't get that. So I think, and it turned, I think Sid sir made the film he set out to make, and I think we got the best possible release for it. And I think by and large people appreciate it. So I think
correct me if I'm wrong, but we would have seen you in Lal Singh Chadha. We would have seen you in Lapata Ladies.
Well, no,
we did not.
You would have seen me in Lal Singh possibly, because I had tested for it.
Yeah, and with Kiran Rao.
I had tested
scene where she played your mother.
She played my mother. We shot about 7 or 8 scenes actually.
Oh.
We shot for 4 days. About 20 minutes of the film we shot. It was a test for me also. It was a little, I think Papa also wanted to see how Advait would deal with the material. So it was kind of for both of us, in that sense. But it didn't work out for largely budgetary reasons. It was a very expensive film to put a new person in. Lapata Lady is actually a completely different scenario where I did test for it, but Kiran was like, no, Sparsh is just better for the part. And I agree with her on that. Sparsh was better for the part.
So equation with Kiran Rao?
No, it's very good. She's a very fun person. She's a very warm person. No, we get along great.
I'm taking a little back to the family dynamics.
Ji.
Like you grew up more, I think, with your mom in childhood.
Yeah.
How was that period? And how did you deal with it?
No, I think it was good. You know, my parents split up, I think, when I was 8. But they never actually let us feel that. I never saw them fight till I was 19. The first time I saw my parents fight, I was 19. So we never saw them disagree or fight. They always, when it came to us, it was always a single unit. So I think that way they did well, and I think it was probably the mature thing to do, because I mean, two good people aren't always good together, and I think this way we got, at least I got a childhood with both parents being happy.
Tell me about your equation with Ira.
No, it's great.
Do you all meet frequently even after a marriage?
Yeah, we meet frequently. We all all of us live like within the same 100-meter radius. So we meet often. In fact, every Tuesday evening is family tea. So mom, Ira, me and dad. Sometimes some of us may not be free, but otherwise every Tuesday evening we meet. So whether it's all 4 or 3 or sometimes even 2. But for a few years now we've been doing that. So and we meet quite quite frequently.
You know, what has been doing the rounds maximum on the internet, if you see, is your dad attributing his therapy to Ira and saying that good he took it because it has brought them closer to his children. He was unable to devote time. He was too busy traveling, shooting. How much of change do you actually see that in Aamir Khan?
I think he is. I think we all evolve as people as time goes by. And yeah, I think as he's getting older, he's wanting to spend more time with us. Sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes it's like, Papa, please. But no. But I think by and large, mostly it's. I think it's a good thing.
So कभी-कभी फोन आ जाता है रात को, कहाँ पर हो?
नहीं फोन, कम होम ना. काफी आता है. कल आया.
Okay. And
मैंने
before
बोला, कल आया था, मैंने बोला मैं विकी जी के साथ इंटरव्यू करने वाला हूँ कल. Like very very good, go do.
And before, when he was shooting, you know, like you really miss those school events. Maybe he's not there, he's traveling.
No, I don't think so. I don't think personally I felt it so much, but I mean, we did have a very large, strong family around us. We all lived in and around. Dadi and Dada used to stay upstairs. Mansoor Jan and Nuzar Pijan and their children were across the street. So I think even my mom's parents lived right up the road. So like everybody was there. So I don't think, I really don't think, personally I don't think I missed it so much. And you know, Papa used to be there. It's not like he was entirely not there. In fact, sometimes it would be like, it's okay, don't come. But yeah.
But you know, I'm sitting opposite a man who doesn't get down from fancy cars. A young man who doesn't get down from fancy cars. His father is a superstar.
Sir, आपने बॉम्बे की ट्रैफिक देखी है? If I have to go to Andheri in a fancy car, it take me twice as long.
No inclination of, you know, that feel, you get down, the driver opens the door.
No. No, I don't think so. I don't know, I've never really, it's not really been my thing.
A young man who is not staging paparazzi.
I mean,
Come on, you know, people going to gyms and those moments being called spotting. But we know how they have been conducted.
I guess I don't see the value in it.
Why?
I'm hoping I can speak through my work and that's good enough, no? I guess I feel that beyond a point work speaks, and if your work is not speaking, nothing else can really speak. So, I mean, fundamentally I feel that. And like, I'm sure everybody has their own way of navigating this industry. Again, I do come from a position of extreme privilege where I can go out to get work without people knowing who I am, and have gotten films without general public knowing who I am, simply on the fact that I am Aamir Khan's son, and it will, when it comes out, be big. So I do come from that kind of privilege which most people don't have, which almost nobody has actually.
But that reminds me, you made a statement where you said that if I was not Aamir's son, I wouldn't have got Maharaj.
Probably I wouldn't have got Maharaj.
Why so for Maharaj?
I mean, because Siddharth sir and Adi sir would not have known who I was. I got Maharaj because Adi sir had seen Lal Singh's audition. He had seen the test of Lal Singh. So when this film came to him, he thought of me. Now, I would not be in those circles only if I was not Aamir Khan's son.
You know, these honest answers, your unassuming personality, does it stem also from theatre background? Because if you look back, or if you trace back rather, renowned actors who have been on stage are far different than people who have just jumped into movies.
I don't know about that. I think there's some fantastic actors who've done.
No, unfortunately, those got divided into art and commercial in
नहीं,
our country.
ऐसा नहीं है. I mean, Dad has done stage in his college days. In fact, we were rehearsing at Prithvi House, and they have all the old posters of Prithvi Festival. And I saw the 1983 poster which had Khilaiya, which was Papa's place, to backstage for it. So I was like, I know this. But no, I mean, I think there's some fantastic actors who've done only film. There's some fantastic actors who've done both. There's some really great actors who just mostly do stage.
So Dad has done stage.
He has done it.
Are you attributing
stage
simplicity to Darwin's theory?
I don't know if I have an answer to that. And yeah, I think a lot of it does come from upbringing. I think both my parents are put a lot of value in us having our heads on our shoulders.
यार थिएटर में सबसे डिफिकल्ट प्ले कौन सा लगा है? आपने कई प्लेस किए हैं, लेकिन बहुत भारी लगा. कभी कभी you miss lines, you have to recover.
Okay, that's an interesting question. I think the first play I did in Bombay, Mother Courage and Her Children, was a tough one. Because just before we were opening, a whole bunch of actors got sick. So we were under-rehearsed for the first run of shows. And then there's a play called Shikhandi, which I've actually stepped in for another actor who's moved to the UK. It was a play that was rehearsed over 6 months. It is a very physical piece. But I only came into it with 2 weeks. Because you can't re-rehearse a whole play for one new actor, or two new actors actually. Two of us had about 2 or 3 weeks. But just the physicality of that, and I'm like, movement is not my strong suit in life. As an actor, that is not my strength. So that was a tough show too. I always, at least the first few runs, I always felt like I'm playing catch up with everybody else. It's a very tight show though, so I don't think हम लोग इतना पकड़े गए. थोड़ा सा मैं पकड़ा गया हूँ. But otherwise, lots of stuff happens. Yeah, on stage, I've been on stage where there's a scene in this play where we're all about 8-9 of us, play called Farming Story. And I have one line in that scene, and we're all on these benches, and I'm sitting on this bench, and I'm like, "Ye bench na tootne wala hai abhi." So I'm trying to be careful and keep my balance in such a way that I don't put. And then, as my line comes, the bench breaks, and it wasn't a comedy; it was a serious play. So those kind of things happen all the time.
But you are playing two games at the same time. One theatre where it's pure rehearsals, and there is a complete sync by the time you go on stage. And simultaneously, you're also doing movies now. One with Sai Pallavi, one with Khushi, and a lot more to come ahead.
Hopefully.
So, वो तो एक है rehearsals. अब इसमें उल्टा है. आप सब कुछ ready है. Your emotion is built up, you're ready to go. Suddenly your makeup man will come and try to, do your hair. Or somebody will come and say, wait, 10 degrees or adjust karna hai. Disruptions. So how do you deal with this, switch?
Yeah, I think that was maintaining focus on a film set for me was a challenge in the beginning. It took some getting used to. But even the films I've done, we've done a fair bit of rehearsals actually. Maharaj was very heavily rehearsed. We also had the luxury of time. Even this film now with Khushi Loveyapa, it's interesting because actually we have very few scenes together in the sense where we're in the same space. Most of it happens over the phone.
Oh,
So those,
that's interesting.
So those scenes you really have to rehearse, because when you shoot them, you're shooting them fully differently.
Yeah.
So you won't get the play unless you get that play in rehearsals. So we rehearsed a fair bit for that as well. For this, and even with Sai and for Ek Din, we had, in fact, we'd gone to Chennai for a week. Dadi was also there. She was going through her treatment over there. And we spent about a week, 10 days rehearsing before our schedule started. So I really enjoy rehearsing. I think it's... you can never rehearse too much.
Rehearsal se mujhe yaad aa raha hai, you said in one of your earlier interviews that you are very craft heavy. And I think your dad also is. So how different are you from him? I mean, what's the difference in approaching a scene or in approaching any project?
Well, I think there are lots of similarities in how actually we approach.
Interesting.
I always connect more with the story than the character per se. And I think he does as well. Even how we come to scenes is actually very interesting, because I mean, I have a education in theatre, he does not. He's learnt on the job. But a lot of the tricks you pick up, a lot of them are the same. I may have a acting school vocabulary for it.
It's like theory and practical.
But it comes to the same thing. And he's learnt these tricks by constantly working with new people, picking things up from people. So I think that way it's interesting. He may not know what it's called, which I would, with the theatre school.
With the vocabulary.
Yeah, I would have the vocabulary for it, but we're essentially doing the same thing.
But what are these Tuesday चाय की जो महफिल जमती है
जी,
उसमें कॉन्वर्सेशंस क्या होते हैं, या फिर घर पर अगर कभी बैठे हो डैड के साथ, तो जनरली व्हाट्स द कॉन्वर्सेशन? आई मीन, इज इट अबाउट मूवीज, डाइसेक्टिंग परफॉर्मेंसेस of his, of yours? Very rarely. Dissecting other actors' performances?
No.
Reviewing movies?
Actually, he doesn't really watch movies, and I also don't watch movies that much, so we rarely talk about movies. He actually watches almost nothing.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he barely watches films. So it's actually, we rarely talk about work.
So why doesn't he watch movies? Like, what's the...
I don't know. I mean, he is actually very, very busy in life. But yeah, he's not really a watcher of movies much. I mean, right now he's producing some 5 films. So
yes,
he is quite busy.
Well, let me ask you 3 movies of his which have meant a lot to you.
I think Rang De Basanti was the movie that I think it's probably one of my favorite films we've made in India. But I think it's also got a lot to do with the time that it came out. I think I was 13 or 14. I was just starting to understand the world. So I think that's definitely the film for me that really stayed with me. And it's actually interesting because some people who I meet who are slightly older than I am, like maybe 5 or 7 years, for them that film is Dil Chahta Hai, because it came out just when they were in college and starting to make those friends for life.
Yeah, I think it's that moment when you watch
it. So I think a lot of films is also when it comes to you, at what point in time it comes to you. But 2 more. I think Talash was I think one of his finest performances. And I think I really enjoyed 3 Idiots also.
Okay.
There, 3. Or actually, I would say Andaz Apna.
There's a lot of speculation, वो फिर से बनेगी. आपको क्या लगता है अगर बनी तो कौन कर सकता है वो दो रोल, सलमान के और आमिर के?
I think they should only do it. अगर बनी तो I think they should only do it.
अब सलमान की बात निकली है तो शाहरुख भी ज़रूर डिस्कस होगा. आपके पापा और ये दोनों बहुत गहरे दोस्त हैं.
जी.
Have you been a privy to their conversations? You've been in those rooms, you've chatted with them. Have they discussed with you something about cinema?
On occasion, but they don't really discuss cinema. Again, when the three of them get, or even if two of them get together, they are rarely talking about films. I mean, they're very, very old friends. They've been around for like almost 40 years now. I don't think they ever discuss cinema. Or at least they've not discussed cinema in front of me.
But you go along sometimes with your dad to
I have met them a few times. But they're very, very sweet.
Let's talk about Sai and Khushi.
Ji.
How different are they from each other?
I think Khushi that way is also Khushi also loves rehearsing. She is very craft heavy. So I think that worked out well. Sai actually is the exact opposite. She relies very strongly on instinct. So actually, even when we were rehearsing, she was a bit nervous about it. She's like, I've actually never worked like this before.
One spontaneous actor and one...
We were like, don't worry about it. I have always found rehearsals to be places to explore. So it's not like you're doing the same thing over and over again. It's like you're trying to find new things. You can't do it sitting down discussing. You have to do it on its feet. So you can do a scene and then you can try different things. You can try different motivations. You can... So I've always found rehearsals more to kind of build something. In fact, in theatre school, we had this acting teacher who used to make us do this exercise. Say you're rehearsing a scene for 2 weeks. Halfway through, she would be like, okay, now, next time when you do the scene, she would give both the actors in the scene a water pistol. So now, everything you do, every beat that you have to take it differently. And if your partner feels you're not taking it differently, they get to squirt you with a water pistol. So it just gives you can start looking at things in a way that you wouldn't have thought of before. And it may not necessarily be right, but when you explore, you find new things, and some of them will be right, and some of them won't be right, which you can then discard.
Junaid, can you single out one scene of your dad, which is your number one? Wah kya scene hai?
Oh, good God. His crying scene in Rang De Basanti is very good. He doesn't like it at all. He was most upset. But I thought that was very good.
That crying scene in Akele Hum Akele
Yes, that is also... I think he's a good crier.
Has he made you cry anytime? Scolding diya bahut?
No, as children, we used to get scolded by him a little bit. But it was always mum who was the more... it was always mum who was the enforcer of discipline at home.
Mm-hmm.
Papa's not really the scolding type. It was more mum who was the person limiting screen time and making sure we're eating our vegetables. And
she was particular about your results also?
She was not so particular about my results. Neither of my parents were particular. I was also diagnosed with dyslexia very early on, so I don't think they... So I think they were mindful of that, especially in schooling.
So when you say that you were dyslexic, do you think that also influenced the making of, or rather led to the making of Taare Zameen Par?
Actually, I think it was a little bit the other way around. When they heard the script of Taare Zameen Par, Papa and Ma heard the script of Taare Zameen Par and were like, "Ek second."
say that.
We have seen this in our lives. And actually, it was at that point that they took me to a specialist, and I was diagnosed with dyslexia and dyscalculia.
Achha, after that they took you?
Yes.
After hearing the script,
I
they
believe
put
so.
2 and 2 together?
I believe so. I believe so. But it was very early. I was about, I must have been 6 or 7 years old. And I received a lot of help very early on. So it didn't affect me as much growing up. But so in that sense, I think I was lucky. I was lucky. In fact, there was this organization called Drishti that I used to go to 3-4 times a week, where they help with, and that's also why mom and dad weren't so. They were never. Both mom and dad were never particular about academics. They were like, make sure you do your best, but.
That's what Three Idiots was all about.
Yeah.
Interesting. Tell me about your moments with Azad.
No, Azad's a lovely kid. He's much younger than I am. He's very active. He loves his trampoline and his football. And
Does he remind you of, or rather, be like dad, resemblance hai?
I think Ira has the strongest resemblance to Papa.
Okay. So you said, अगर मैं actor नहीं बनता, मैं बन गया. Rather, you got inclined, but you had some other things in mind, other avenues you were trying to explore maybe.
So, I enjoyed economics a lot. I had taken it instead of science in school. We had that option in 9th and 10th standard. And I really enjoyed economics, so I thought, let's go somewhere down that track. And that's why I went to do my BCom. But I think I sort of realized that what I enjoyed about economics was more the psychology of it than the statistics of it. And I think you actually get to explore that a lot more as an actor.
एक टॉपिक तो जरूर डिस्कस होता होगा
जी
घर पर
जी
कि जब डैड अपने जेनिथ अभी भी जेनिथ पर ही हैं, बट जो मूवीज जो 3 इडियट्स ले लो या तारे ज़मीन पर ले लो, दंगल ले लो, जो इतनी सारी वीक्स चली, तब जो सिनेमा था, स्टारडम था, और आज जो सिनेमा है, कितना फर्क आ गया है, एंड how much of it is easy to cope with? Do you all discuss that?
We have talked about it, but I think audiences are constantly evolving. Cinema is constantly evolving. Entertainment in general is constantly evolving, and personally, I feel as long as you can stick to the core tenets of storytelling, you're good. I mean, that's the best we can do.
Do you honestly feel it's evolution? It's not that I'm living in the past or something.
Ji.
Such similar plots. There are no brothers, there are no sisters, there are no mothers, there are no fathers in the story. Is this evolution?
No, I feel... Well, okay, let me put it this way. I feel audiences are evolving and storytellers are trying to keep up with it, and some places they are succeeding, some places they're failing. I hope that we get more successes as an industry as we move forward. I think when films do well and are loved, it's good for everyone. It gets money back into the system and you can make more films.
You are using the word evolving, I am using the word changing, but I don't want you to change.
Not at all, sir. Thank
Remain
you so
the
much.
same. Free-spirited.
Thank you so
and
much.
always accessible. Thank you, Junaid. Thank you for this lovely conversation. It was great meeting you.
Thank you for having me, sir.